Hello and welcome to HITC Sport. Right, today we're talking wonder goals. Often the best players on the planet score the best goals. We've seen stunning solo goals from Messi, out of this world free kicks from Ronaldo and thunderbolts from Steven Gerrard. But sometimes we can see goals equally as good, sometimes even better, that come from a player you'd never expect and have never ever came close to scoring a goal like it again. My name is James and this is every Premier League club's weirdest wonder goal scorer. And a quick caveat before you fill up the comments, no, I can't show you clips of the goals, otherwise HITC would crumble because of the copyright bills. Arsenal, Tony Adams versus Everton. This is a goal we'll all have seen, a strike that is iconic for multiple reasons. Firstly, it helped seal the title for the Gunners way back in 1998 when Arsenal were actually capable of winning league titles. Secondly, it was scored by their captain Tony Adams, and thirdly, it was out of this world and the kind of goal that would make your jaw drop no matter who scored it. It was centre back to centre back, Bolt picks it up, dinks a ball over the defence that Andrea Pirlo would be proud of, and there's his partner Tony Adams to latch onto it and slot home a finish as if he was Thierry Henry. One question, what was Tony Adams doing that high up the pitch? He celebrated as if he was the second coming of the Messiah, but if you look at his managerial record, you know that's not true. Aston Villa, Matty Lowton versus Stoke. When you think of Matt Lowton, what's the first thing that comes to mind? He's a limited fullback playing in a solid, except for this season, Burnley team who gets defensive duties right and that's about it. But he's also the scorer of one of the greatest goals in Premier League history. It came back when he was at Villa and it was on a blustery day in Stoke. I just assumed it was windy to be honest. A corner came in, it was cleared high into the air, and there's Matt Lowton, who takes the ball down from out of the heavens with the most delicate chest control and cannons a volley so hard surprised it didn't burst the net. Since then, normal service resumed, with Lowton never scoring another Premier League goal. Brighton, Leon Balogun versus Crystal Palace. This goal's the least impressive so far, but the situation surrounding it certainly makes it special. You may well forget Leon Balogun's spell at the Amex, I'm sure all his former teammates have, but for the centre-back it will be remembered for one moment in particular. It was the derby versus Palace. Shane Duffy's just been sent off, Balogun trots on, then 25 seconds later he converts a volley to score his one and only Brighton goal. No doubt he'll be telling his grandkids about the one time he scored in the M23 derby, to which they reply, "But Grandpa, Brighton and Crystal Palace are nowhere near each other, how on earth is it a derby?" Burnley, Stephen Ward versus Chelsea. Wonder and Burnley aren't two words that often go together, unless it's in the sentence, "I wonder if Burnley are going to go down this season." But back in 2017, the Clarets put in a wonderful performance that included a wonder goal by Stephen Ward. The destination was Stamford Bridge, where Sean Dyche's side shocked the Premier League champions. And the pick of the lot was a stunning volley from left-back Stephen Ward past the Chelsea stopper, back when Kepa wasn't in goal and not every shot crashed into the net. Chelsea, Ramirez versus Barcelona. Okay, so I know Ramirez scored a fair few goals for Chelsea, but that one he scored against Barcelona was out of this world. A goal so good it was sent from the heavens, in a game so dramatic that people often forget this moment of brilliance from the Brazilian midfielder. You had the John Terry red card, the Fernando Torres rounding the keeper, the Gary Neville making a mess in his pants, but the most audacious moment of the night was Ramirez racing through for 10-men Chelsea and dinking the ball over a desperate Victor Valdez, who was so traumatised he had to go to Middlesbrough to get over it. Crystal Palace, Stuart O'Keefe versus Sunderland. If you're only going to score one Premier League goal in your career, this is how you do it. Stuart O'Keefe is a name most fans will forget. I bet even Crystal Palace's fans' memory is hazy when it comes to this midfielder, but he barely played in the Premier League for the Eagles, but when he did, he didn't really impress, except for against Sunderland. The midfielder bent a cracking long distance strike into the top corner, forcing Sunderland boss Paulo Di Canio to apologise to the fans, although I'm not sure if it was for the bad results or the fascism claims. Everton, Phil Jagielka versus Liverpool. While the most recent Merseyside derby saw drama and horrendous challenges and ridiculous VAR decisions that Liverpool fans will likely still be talking about for years to come, the 2014 derby was settled in a different way. Everton were facing yet another derby defeat, the clock was ticking down into the final minute and a bouncing ball falls into the path of captain Phil Jagielka, probably the last bloke Everton fans would want it to fall to. But without a moment's hesitation, not even taking a touch to think about what to do, the Everton skipper just thrashed a ferocious half volley into the top corner at Anfield to salvage a point. It was a goal of obscene quality, and I bet Jagielka could never do it again even if you paid him. FULHAM, KASAMI versus Crystal Palace. This is without a doubt one of the greatest goals in Premier League history, by a player who's remembered for this goal and this alone. It was just ridiculous, the run, the chest control and then the volley, all done with pace and precision, giving the Crystal Palace stopper absolutely no chance. He's been consistently scoring goals for Sealand in the past few years, but none as good as this strike. Spare a thought for Steve Sidwell as well though, who scored a great volley himself in this game, which sadly just wasn't as good. It's like coming second in a race and still breaking the world record, no one cares. Leeds United Souleymane Dakara versus Nottingham Forest. When you think of Leeds Wondergoals, you think of Tony Yeboah. That man scored so many stunners you'd think he was surrounded by women in a nightclub. But one man who scored a goal equally as good as some of Yeboah's was Souleymane Dakara. The only difference is that this was the only Wondergoal of his Leeds career. A corner was headed clear just after Dakara had been subbed on against Forest, and the Leeds forward just thundered a volley back into the top corner. A strike so venomous that Dakara would have been apologising for an assault on a fan had it missed the target. Leicester City HAMZA Choudhury versus Newcastle. We've got a goal from last season here, and a strike that really stung in the North East. HAMZA Choudhury was already unpopular at St James's Park after injuring Matt Ritchie, then he made matters even worse when he rifled a stunner past Martin Dubravka on another embarrassing afternoon for the Magpies, who got an absolute pace off Brendan Rodgers' side. Liverpool Jermaine Pennant versus Chelsea. Jermaine Pennant played for more clubs than the government have done U-turns, and the two biggest he played for were Liverpool and Arsenal. But it was the Reds where he scored an absolute stunner, a fantastic half volley against Chelsea that seemed to take an age to come down and hit the back of the net. It was probably the best goal of his career, but sadly he'll always be better known for leaving his car in Spain and ending up on the Jeremy Kyle show. Man City Vincent Kompany versus Leicester. A goal from the depths of despair from Vincent Kompany that led City to the title and had Gary Neville screaming, "Where do you want your statue?" which is at least one down from the Torres orgasm. It was an incredible strike from Kompany in a tight game where the champions needed something, and the captain stepped up with a frighteningly good strike that had Kasper Schmeichel just diving to make it look as though he tried. Another defining moment for Kompany in a City shirt, but the margins were so fine. 9 out of 10 times that shot goes into the stands and hands Liverpool the title. Manchester United Federico Macheda versus Aston Villa. This was an incredible goal by Federico Macheda that had Martin Tyler screaming and Man United fans wondering if they'd just seen the next best thing. It was an incredible goal by Macheda, who unfortunately for the Red Devils was not the next best thing. The Italian striker still lives off that goal today, but at least he's rebuilding his career in Greece. Newcastle United Cheick Tiote. I have never celebrated a goal more than this. 4-0 down at half time, 4-3 with 3 minutes to go. The last player Newcastle wanted a chance to fall to was Cheick Tiote, but the Ivorian midfielder watched the ball come down from out of the sky and hit a volley so sweet it still gives me goosebumps. It was Tiote's only goal for Newcastle, it completed the comeback and it spawned the Steve Harper elbow drop. Incredible. Sheffield United Phil Jagielka versus Middlesbrough. For the second time, Phil Jagielka is in this video. Maybe there's nothing weird about a Wondergoal from the Blades defender. This goal against Borough came in Jagielka's first spell at Bramall, and it was kinda similar to that goal versus Liverpool. A bouncing ball comes to the defender, who decides to chest it down and just smash it from distance, and just like against Liverpool, it went in. I wonder how many times he tried this and the shot went out the ground. This can't have happened every time he did it. Southampton Dani Osvaldo versus Manchester City. Dani Osvaldo was absolutely mad, and his Southampton career was pretty woeful to be honest with you. But there was one moment of magic that defied physics. The forward twisted and turned past Vincent Kompany of all people, then past another defender, then chipped the ball perfectly over the head of Costel Pantilimon. Yes, Costel Pantilimon, the man who was as high as a giraffe, was in between the sticks and got lobbed. Osvaldo had all the talent but not the attitude, and packed in playing to focus on his music career before coming out of retirement this year. Tottenham Eric Edmond versus Liverpool. 1 season, 1 goal, 41 yards. That sums up Eric Edmond's Tottenham career. The Swedish defender wasn't brought in for his attacking talents, but this strike against Liverpool was so good you'd think he was a striker. Even then, most strikers wouldn't even dream of taking a shot from that far out. 41 yards. What possessed Eric Edmond to have a hit from there? It's no wonder it went in. Jersey Dudek was probably chatting to fans and making a sarnie. There was no danger. 2 seconds later and he's picking the ball out of his net and considering changing his career to become a rally driver. West Brom Morgan Amalfitano versus Man United. The Baggies are weird. They've had a plethora of average players who just score worldies. Graham Dorrans, Chris Brunt, Craig Gardner, they're all average midfielders, but every goal they seem to score ends up a goal of the season contender. But the player I'm looking at is Morgan Amalfitano, who got David De Gea to sit down so easily you'd think he was a dog trainer at Crufts. The Frenchman picked it up in his own half, raced down the pitch, nutmegged Rio Ferdinand, faked a shot, sat down the keeper and cheekily dinked it over the spine to hand West Brom a famous win. West Ham Pedro Obiang versus Tottenham. When you think of Pedro Obiang, you don't really think of him as a goal scorer, unless you remember that absolute rocket he fired past Hugo Lloris at Wembley back when Spurs were moving home and somehow managed to get an even bigger temporary stadium. What was all that about? Obiang's effort was one of the best the new Wembley's ever seen, which is fitting considering he isn't even English. And finally Wolves Nenad Milias versus Bolton. Forget every Wondergoal you've seen by Ruben Neves. The Portuguese midfielder scores Wondergoals in his sleep. He wakes up, he eats Wondergoals for breakfast. Every goal he scores is a Wondergoal, but none of them can compare to Nenad Milias' strike against Bolton back in 2009. Rumour has it Neres has a Nenad Niljas poster on his wall. So there we have it, that's every Premier League club's weirdest wonder goal scorer. Let us know what you think in the comments down below. As always, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to HITC Sport. And until next time, we will see you around.